going on, guys? Worms Forum coming at you guys with some late video. I've been kind of busy the last 3-4 days. Right after that debacle of that Thanksgiving Day game, I'm not going to do an aftermath today. I still got that coming, guys, on Thanksgiving versus Houston, versus that joke of a game. I got that coming probably tomorrow, but I'm going to do a little. I'm going to do a little video on just my thoughts of the Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia firing, which was, long overdue. We all knew that, guys. It's just going to be my thoughts, just like me and you having a conversation at a bar. That's how I'm going to do it. That's how my videos are, anyways. So, yeah, I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the whole subject. We all know that Bob Quinn came here 2016 and was here 2 years before he brought in his boy Matt Patricia. It seems like from the get-go that Bob Quinn never really wanted Caldwell to begin with, especially his second year as the GM of the Lions. You already heard the rumblings of Matt Patricia coming to town. We all knew who he was bringing. He did this. These token interviews with Jim Bob Cooter and Terrell Austin at the time, and he brought in Mike Vrabel, who we probably should have hired as a candidate, as an interview, and he a couple other guys too. He brought in another guy too, someone from the XFL, who went on to either GM or be a head coach in the XFL. But he interviewed a couple guys. We all knew who he was bringing in. He was bringing in Matt Patricia from the start. We all knew that, and it was one of those things where those two guys were Quinn and Patricia, masterminded that they wanted to be head coach and GM of a football team. That was their plan in New England to eventually become that, and it came to full circle in 2018. In 2018, when Bob Quinn hired Matt Patricia as the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and it was a disaster from the get-go. It was a disaster from the get-go. They went on to win 6 games their first year, stumbled on to 6 games. Next year, went 3 games, had a tie. And then this year, they were fired, both, because Patricia ended up winning 4 games this year. So they're 13, 29, and 1, something along that. Yeah, 13, 29, and 1. And it was just a disaster. It was time to go. The fans had enough. Man, there was viral videos out of like, let's get these guys out of here. This guy's got to go, blah, 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 this and that, man. It was just crazy. Open letters to Sheila Ford, Finally, it woke her up from her slumber, wherever she was, and she decided to do this. Now, this was her first big move as the new owner, and it's a big move. Now they're bringing in help again. They're bringing in help to eventually hire a GM because they can't do it themselves. I don't really know if other teams do this. I'm sure they do, but they're having like an agency literally come in to help them find a GM. So hopefully these guys do it justice and help us out. I forget the name of the agency. I just had it too. I should have wrote it down. It's like Turnkey Sports or something like that. Turnkey Sports. Some guy in Turnkey Sports. I'm going to have to look that up. I should have wrote that down. But anyways, man, I'm going to start off with Bob Quinn. When he came here 2016, he had some notable draft picks, guys. Like his first draft pick ever was Taylor Decker, who I think is turning into an all-pro left tackle. I think he's turning into his own. I think he's one of the best left tackles in the league. I think he was playing lights out for about a year and a half, not letting up a sack since last year. And I think his first game he let up 2 sacks from Brian Burns against Carolina, and it's kind of been downhill. You know what I mean? Not downhill for him, but he's had a good year and a half, 2 years of football, and he's turning himself into one of the better left tackles in the league, I think. And then he drafted Kenny Golladay, most notably 2017. 2017 was probably one of his worst drafts ever. It's probably one of his worst drafts ever, though, all around. Drafting guys like Tease Tabor. Who else did he draft in that round? Was it Jarrett Davis? Guys like that. But it just kills you when you draft guys like that. In 2018, he drafted some good guys, most notably Ragnow and Tyrell Crosby in the 5th round. And then he drafted 2019, Last year, Hawkinson, I think, is turning into a top 5 tight end. Cornerback, Amani Oruwariye, who he took in the 5th as well. And then 2020, I think he had probably one of his best drafts. I think Okudah is going to be a good player. The question mark's still out on him, though, as it is on every rookie corner. And then running back DeAndre Swift, who is the real deal. And then Jonah Jackson in the 3rd, our offensive guard, who should be a mainstay for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? He's a really solid guard. And then wide receiver Quintez Cephas, who I think is going to be probably a future, at least, I think his ceiling will be a number 3. You know what I mean? He could become a number 2, though. He could, but I think he's going to become like a little bit better than a Danny Amendola. He'll be a great slot guy, nickel, like right in the slot. I don't think he's ever going to be an outside wide receiver. That's just my opinion, but he does run great routes. He didn't go to a school where he was a key piece. He went to Wisconsin, which is a running school. Jonathan Taylor there during his tenure, and but he did accumulate some yards and some catches over there when he was in college. So I think he could become a number 2, but I think he could become a number. I think he's for sure a lock out of number 3, and he was a 5th round pick. So that was a good pick. You know, he had some good drafts, he had some bad misses, and some good picks. And his biggest thing on him, man, he never should have brought in his boy. He just never should have brought in his boy, man. It was 2 peas in a pod, 2 buddies, arm in arm. Brought him in 2018, brought in Matt Patricia, who I thought was overrated in New England. I thought it was overrated in New England. At the time of the hire, I was like, okay, I'm good with it. It's, you know, he's coming from a championship program, like in New England, you know. Even though his Super Bowls weren't that great, his defenses weren't really great. He had some overrated defenses. What they did, though, he had that bend but don't break defense in New England. He had a scoring defense, who they scored and they had some takeaways, this and that. When he came here, it just never happened. It just really never happened. You know what I mean? He tried to bring in some players, obviously, and I'm the type of guy, too, that I never really had a problem with the players, per se. Never really had a problem with the players who he brought in. Because, again, they were championship guys. They were guys that won rings, knew how to win, been there, done that, all that stuff. You know what I mean? They were guys that got it done. Now, when you bring guys in like that, you expect results. And I think that was another part of the process of Lions fans not having enough patience. Personally, as a Lions fan, all we have is patience. That's all we have. That's all we got as Lions fans. We haven't been good since like the 90s. You know what I mean? We were good in the 90s, had some really good teams in the 90s, went on a really bad run, then became decent again in 2013, 14. You know what I mean? Like, had a couple really good defenses. Stafford came into play, man. We had we had Calvin. Things were looking up and up. One was good though, one was bad. It was just, it could never gel into one. All in all, we've been really bad since 1957. That's the running joke, man. 57 and on. You know what I mean? We haven't been good, man. SOL. Same old Lions. And there's a lot of truth to it. There's a lot of truth to that, man. And but when Quinn brought in Patricia, man, you start bringing in guys from championship pedigrees and you're not producing, you're going to get the fan base even more in an uproar. If you go 13, 29, and 1, together like that, 13 wins, 29 losses, and a tie in 3 years, you're gone. You know what I mean? And then the fan base just got unruly. A lot of arguments online, a lot of this, a lot of that. Like I said, open letters to Sheila, viral videos going out saying we've had enough. It was just a train wreck. It was a train wreck. Now this was certainly, like I said, her best move, her biggest move of her tenure as owner. And what's next? That's what I'm worried about. What's next? And like I said, now we have an agency coming in to help us with our hire because they can't do any hiring because they can't do it. They're incapable of doing it. They're incapable of hiring a new GM. She's pretty much unloading everything on another person. And then that person or that agency, a group of people are going to come in and say, well, this is the guy you should hire. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they can't even make that decision. So we're going to have to go with the next hire. And it's not even going to be from Sheila. All it's going to be is, okay. She's just going to agree to it. She's not going to, like, what? The thing is with that, this is what scares me the most. A, she doesn't know what she's doing. 1B, the organization itself, everybody in that organization doesn't know what they're doing. Okay? They don't know what they're doing. C, they're bringing in another agency to help them to make that hire. D, are they even going to like go over the hires? Like, how are they even going to be able to gauge that hire or that interview? Like how are they going to know if Louis Riddick is better than this guy? You know what I mean? Than like an Elliot Wolf Jr. or whatever, man, a guy from Cleveland who could be a name out there. What if, like, you know what I mean? Like, how are they going to know? Because they don't know football. And you still kept Rod Wood on. You still kept him on, even though he just handles everything non-football, which is just, it's weird in itself. You know what I mean? It's just weird in itself, man. It's like, I'm happy they got rid of these guys. I am, and you know, I could be that guy that could cry about it. That should have been done a long time ago, and it probably should have been done in year 2, right? After year 2, like, you win 3 games, man. You win like 9 games in 2 seasons. That's horrific. That's a total of 4.5 years in 4.5 games in 2 years. So right then and there, you probably should have been fired. But then I'm the same type of guy that I want to see a rebuild. And it does. And if you start firing guys 2-3 years, every 2-3 years you start firing guys, you're never going to build. Ever. You're never going to build. But these guys had to go. They had to. So now we're in a whole new rebuild. We don't know who they're going to bring in. We don't have a clue on who they're going to bring in. It's just a train wreck, you know. And when I heard about this news about them getting fired, I was out of town. This is why I haven't done a video. I was in London, Ontario, man, with my buddy and my wife and his wife. They were Christmas shopping, and me and my friend were literally sitting in a Jack Astor's. Yes, it's a restaurant. It's a sports pub restaurant kind of. It's nice, man. Good food, good burgers, good chicken sandwiches, and booze and beers. So we were about 2 pitchers deep when we found out. I think it was about 1:45, 1:00 p.m. My buddy comes across and goes, "They're fired. They're gone, eh?" I'm like, "What? No way, man. Gone." I'm like, "All right, man. So I'll order another pitcher or 3." So we do that. And that's why I haven't made a video on the aftermath after the Houston game. That's why I haven't done a video up until now. And I just got back to work too, so I'm on afternoon shift. So I'm trying to get a video in as fast as I can, and just my thoughts. But now that these guys are gone, I'm really worried about who they're going to hire, because the NFL, they don't like to help the Lions. It's not like we're on that pecking order, that high pecking order of, okay, well, these guys need to be better. You know what I mean? Like, these guys you guys really need to find a good candidate, man. Find a good candidate for these guys. Get them over the top. That's what makes me worried as a Lions fan. It makes me petrified as a Lions fan, because I don't think we're going to get a top-notch guy. I hope we do. I hope we get one of the hottest candidates out there. You know what I mean? Like, I hope we do. Like a Robert Saleh as head coach, or an Eric Bieniemy. Saleh, I hope they're gonna make as a main target. He is from Detroit. He's got big ties over there, man. He's from there. He's from Dearborn, Michigan. He lives there in the off season. He's Lebanese. It's a huge Lebanese community in Detroit. Like, one of the biggest Middle Eastern communities in America is in Detroit, by the way. And he's Lebanese, and it's does he want that kind of what's it called, pressure on him? I think he's ready to take over. I think he's ready to take over as a head coach. He's one of my top guys. I like him and Bieniemy, though, to tell you the truth. I just don't know. I just don't trust this organization to do the right thing. And I don't trust him to bring in a GM to do the right thing. Especially when you got guys doing it for you. Like when you have a whole agency doing it for you and you don't really have a say, all you're doing is you're just a yes man. You're just nodding your head. Oh, okay. This guy's better than this guy? Convince me why. I don't think they're smart enough to sit there and have a conversation about that. And I'm sorry if that's a knock on Sheila Ford, but these guys have been inadequate for 50 years. You know what I mean? The 60 years, man, these guys have done nothing. They've done nothing for this organization. What makes it say that they're going to do something good now? Like, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, man, but I'm excited for the rebuild, but I'm not excited for who they're going to bring in next because I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be. It scares the death out of me, man. Scares the hell out of me. It really does. Quinn never should have brought in his boy, man. He never should have brought him in. He never should have. It was his undoing. Because I thought he's had some pretty good draft picks. Yeah, you missed on a lot of bad ones. And I think a lot of that, it's not all on Quinn himself. You know, he's got a scouting department, and he's also got Matt Patricia in his ear. You know what I mean? He's also got Matt Patricia in his ear saying, hey, man, this guy would fit my system right. Like, case in point, Jelani Tavai. That's one of them, too. You know what I mean? Guys like that. Tease Tabor, though, that's all on Quinn because apparently he loved him. Not every pick I know about, man, but I just remember hearing about certain guys. Then they had that little riff, apparently, last year with the Okudah and Derek Brown picks. Okudah was wanted by Quinn, and Patricia wanted Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. And Quinn went with Okudah, thinking he was going to be the impact player right away. And he has in spots, but he hasn't in a lot of spots. He gets burned once or twice a game. He's learning the position. And Derek Brown over in Carolina hasn't really done much. You know what I mean? I think he might have a sack. I don't even know, but he's not a sack guy. He's a run stuffer, but Patricia loves run stuffers. Doesn't love guys that get to the quarterback. Even though they brought in a few guys from guys like Jamie Collins, who's a rushing linebacker. They brought guys like that in, but they don't have that stud defensive end. Our stud defensive end is literally an undrafted guy out of Notre Dame in Romeo Akwara. So it's like they're almost allergic to bringing in pass rushing defensive ends. Then you had to give up a pick to get an aging Everson Griffin, which kind of was at the right time. It was good because just after that, Flowers goes down. So, and Griffin's been okay in 3 games. He's been okay. He's had 1 bad game, 3-4 games I think he's been here. But yeah, he's been okay. He hasn't been anything special, but he had 1 really good game against Washington. But anyways, it doesn't matter. And then Patricia's schemes, his schemes just weren't, they just weren't up to snuff, man. They weren't good enough. And a lot of that has to do with players. Yes, it's not just the coaching. I get it. It's not just the coaching. You have to have the players that can adjust and adapt. You obviously didn't. They brought some okay players in through free agency and through draft, but it just wasn't good enough. And then add to the fact that there was players that did not like Patricia. Now it's all coming out now. Now Ashawn Robinson comes out on Twitter and says, "Look at you, karma, blah blah blah." Apparently, Patricia threatened Ashawn Robinson's career, said, "I can snap my fingers and you'll be gone just like that." He had his riff when he came in at 2018 with Darius Slay. He tried to be the alpha in the room, Patricia did, and called out Slay, referred to a homophobic slur to him, and ever since then, their relationship was gone. Slay even said he thought he was a good coach. He just didn't respect the man himself. Then with Quandre Diggs coming out saying he got disrespected too, after they made him a captain and they extended him, gave him more money. Then they cut him halfway through the season, or trade him to Seattle. But he was nothing special anyways. People act like Quandre Diggs was Ronnie Lott. So he's not, you know what I mean? He's not. He was an okay guy that made a splash play every 2-3 games. That's it. That's all he was. Who else? Then there was a couple expatriates that came out. One in particular, I can't remember his name off by heart, but he referred to Patricia as one of the meanest persons he's ever met in his life. Whatever, boo-hoo on that one, okay? I'm more of an old school guy, so those things don't affect me. But you can't say that nowadays to these guys, to these football players, to these kids, because everyone's so soft and sensitive. Everybody is soft and extremely sensitive. You can't say anything to anybody anymore. You just can't. You know what I mean? So Patricia ruffled a lot of feathers his time in apparently in New England too, and in Detroit. I think it was more Detroit, obviously. It was more Detroit because I think that ex-New England guy played for Detroit. I can't remember who he was either. He was either an O-lineman or a linebacker, guy that was probably a special teams guy. He came out and said something. It was Ashawn Robinson, that guy, Quandre Diggs, Slay. Glover Quinn never questioned his coaching, but he questioned his style of changing the culture. Because in the long run, guys, that team before they brought in Patricia was, I don't want to say they were on the cusp of something great, but they were on the cusp of something something good coming in. You know, they went to the playoffs 2 out of 4 years, and this is 2 out of 4 years, and they were playing good football at times, some bad football too. They were inconsistent with Caldwell. Okay, they were, but they made the playoffs 2 out of 4. Okay, so Cole was one of the most winning. I think he's the most winningest coach with the Lions. So he won like 500% of his games. Patricia won 300% of his games. So it was like, and that's the things with Lions fans nowadays. They talk about Patricia, they talk about Caldwell like he was Vince Lombardi. Because when you compare him to Patricia, he literally was. So, and the thing was, Caldwell wasn't nothing great. The players loved him though. They played for him. They respected him. He was more a player's coach. He was more of a player's coach, and he did some good things in Detroit, did some bad things in Detroit. Made a lot of bad in-game decisions, like Patricia did. Couldn't give it over that hump. It was time for change. I do believe that. And then Quinn's downfall was bringing in his best friend. Now, they're both gone. They're both tied to the hip, hand in hand, jumping off the pier together. They're both gone. And that's what makes me worried, though. Who are they going to bring in next? The Fords can't even do it themselves. They can't even do it themselves. They're getting help from a whole other agency. Turnkey Sports or whatever the hell they're called. Okay? I don't even know. I just read it and I just don't remember. It's some guy in Turnkey Sports. Like, you know what I mean? So it makes me worried. It makes me extremely worried because Detroit Lions are not a priority number one to the NFL. They're not. We're really not. You're really not. And it sucks because we just can't win. So I hope the right guy comes in. I'm happy for the firing. I am. It's a little bit too late, but whatever. It's done. It's gone. They're gone. The stink is gone. Darrell Bevel will take over as an interim. And a lot of guys wanted Braden Coombs or Combs, whatever his name is, to come in, the special teams guy for Detroit. But he's a special teams guy, okay? He's a special teams. You're not gonna do that right away. Not like with 6 games left or whatever. How many games? 4 or 5 games left. You're probably not gonna bring in a 30-something-year-old kid just to take over. Not right away. He could possibly be a candidate for an interview. I'm sure he will be. Special teams has been pretty consistent all year. You know what I mean? And the O-line play. Haley. You know what I mean? So those guys could be possible candidates for an interview. But I really don't want them to hire in-house. I don't. I want to be enemy or Sala. I want a hot topic. I want a hot candidate. I want a football guy. Okay? I want a football guy. So this just makes me a little bit nervous on who they're going to bring in. You know, like I said, I love that they're fired. They're finally gone. I thought they were going to wait till today, Monday, to tell you the truth. I did. I thought they were going to wait till Thanksgiving weekend. You know, Sheila was going to be all soft and not fire him. I'm glad she fired him during the weekend. You know, I'm glad she fired him on a Saturday. See ya. Bye. Bye-bye. Have a nice one. Wherever you guys go, I'm sure they'll get jobs. There's already talks about possibly Belichick wanting to reunite with Patricia, and apparently Brian Flores from Miami. I don't know how true those are just rumors. I don't know why Flores would want him. That defense in Miami's playing well. I have no idea why he'd want that to come back in. But like I said, man, it's the old boys club, the NFL. All sports is. They're all buddies. Come on in. You know what I mean? Oh, you're gonna ruin our franchise? Who cares? You're my boy. You know what I mean? It happens. But I just want to see wins. I want to see wins, and I want to see them bring the next guy in who's going to be a winner. And I just hope it's not some guy that no one's really heard of. I was going to do a candidate thing for coaches and GMs, but I decided I'm not really going to. I still got other things I got to do. I still got to do this aftermath video of the Houston game, and I'm back. Like I said, I'm back to work. So, and then when I'm on noons, it's a little bit tougher for me to get going with things. But yeah, it's a new era. Now the next hire is going to be huge. So, and I have a feeling that the Fords, well, I don't have a feeling. I already know they're not going to be too heavily involved in this hiring. They're letting a whole other agency do it, like they did before. They've done it in the past because the Fords don't know how to hire. They don't know football. They just don't. They just don't. You know what I mean? Case in point, 13, 29-1, and then you finally get rid of your guy. It took 3 years of horrific football. Horrific. You know what I mean? But it's a turnstile, man. The NFL, and you want to see something try to build. You want to see something build, but it was time to go. So, but anyways, guys, that's my rant. That's my rant on it. Hopefully everything works out for Lions fans. Don't forget to subscribe to my videos. I'll get more out, man. Just a little bit busy. Like I said, I was away during the Patricia firing, and I couldn't do a really video. I was going to do one right in the bar when I was there, but I was feeling too good to do it. So it's probably a good idea that I didn't do it. And like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get all my videos, and like and comment, man, because negative, positive, doesn't matter. I love the feedback, and I love shooting the bull with my fellow Lions fans. So, all right, man, let's go, man. 2020, 2021 is going to be a rebuild. Let's go. Go Lions. Boom.